Every generation has a machine that becomes more than transport. It becomes a statement of intent, a reflection of the era that built it. Some were born from speed, others from luxury, and a few from an almost stubborn pursuit of safety. Picture the late 1980s, a decade obsessed with style, excess, and horsepower. Amid all that noise, one car quietly set out to prove that true progress was measured not in 0 to 60 times, but in how well a driver could walk away from a crash. It was boxy, modest, and often misunderstood, yet it would become a symbol of trust on wheels. What began as an engineer's challenge evolved into a legend of resilience and logic. Today, we look back at the Volvo 240 gallons from 1988, the unassuming brick that turned safety into an art form and rewrote what it meant for a car to protect its passengers. Stay with us, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which classic you want us to dive into next. The Volvo 240 gallons from 1988 was never meant to be glamorous. It was meant to endure. To understand how this car became a cornerstone of safety, we have to step back into the mindset of Volvo's engineers during the late 1970s and early 1980s. At that time, the global car market was dominated by bold design language and speed-driven advertising. Volvo, based in Sweden's pragmatic culture, took a different approach. Its philosophy centered on human life first and everything else second. The 240 gallons embodied this philosophy more clearly than any of its predecessors. It was a car built not for the showroom floor but for the real world. Icy roads, unexpected impacts, and everyday families who trusted their vehicle to keep them safe. Beneath its squared edges and unassuming lines lay layers of design logic that were far ahead of their time. Engineers reinforced the A-pillars and door frames to create a rigid safety cage, ensuring that impact forces were directed away from occupants. The front and rear ends were crafted with crumple zones designed to absorb energy progressively, allowing the passenger cabin to remain intact even under severe stress. This balance between rigidity and controlled deformation was the secret that made the 1988 Volvo 240 gallons more than a car. It was a moving laboratory for safety innovation. While most manufacturers treated safety as an afterthought, Volvo turned it into a core design principle. The development team tested the 240 series under extreme scenarios, from simulated collisions to real-world data gathered through partnerships with hospitals and traffic authorities in Sweden. Every accident became an opportunity to learn and improve. The 240 gallons benefited from a decade of iterative testing, each revision refining the structure, restraint systems, and interior ergonomics. Its engineers studied how seat geometry, steering column placement, and window height could influence survival rates. The results were revolutionary. The 1988 240 gallons came equipped with an energy-absorbing steering column, anti-submarine seats to prevent passengers from sliding under seatbelts during a crash, and carefully designed crumple patterns that worked like architectural load paths. Even the headrests were calculated for optimal whiplash reduction. All these features formed a cohesive safety ecosystem long before such ideas became mainstream. Yet safety alone doesn't make a legend. The Volvo 240 GL's longevity came from its unmatched durability and mechanical honesty. Its 4-cylinder B230F engine wasn't built for thrills but for reliability. It could run hundreds of thousands of miles with routine care, making it a favorite among families and taxi operators alike. Its overbuilt components, thick steel panels, and straightforward engineering created a sense of indestructibility. Owners didn't just drive the 240 gallons. They trusted it as a member of the household. It became a cultural statement that choosing practicality over vanity was an act of quiet rebellion. In an age obsessed with speed, this car offered peace of mind. Inside, the 240 GL's cabin reflected Volvo's Scandinavian design ethos. Functional, honest, and human-centered. Controls were placed where intuition guided your hand, visibility was wide and uninterrupted, and seats were built to support posture over long distances. Volvo understood that safety began long before a crash occurred. It started with reducing fatigue and maintaining focus. That holistic thinking was what made the 240 gallons special. The car felt solid, deliberate, and utterly predictable. You didn't have to fight it. You simply guided it. This calm competence turned even mundane commutes into moments of assurance. As the 1980s closed, the world began to take notice. Insurance agencies ranked the Volvo 240 series among the safest cars ever tested. Owners shared stories of walking away from accidents that would have been fatal in other vehicles. The car's design language, once mocked for its simplicity, became a badge of intelligence and restraint. It wasn't about turning heads. It was about saving them. By 1988, the 240 gallons stood as a distillation of everything Volvo had learned over 2 decades of relentless experimentation. Every weld, every bolt, every structural fold told the same story. Safety through science. The car was a testament to what happens when engineering refuses to follow fashion and instead follows purpose. It represented a turning point not just for Volvo but for the entire automotive world. Rivals began to take notes, governments began to adopt stricter crash standards, and drivers began to expect more from their vehicles. The humble Swedish sedan had shifted the conversation from performance to protection, proving that progress could be measured in lives preserved rather than seconds shaved off a lap time. The 1988 Volvo 240 gallons was not just a model year. It was a milestone in the evolution of automotive integrity. Its influence would reach far beyond its own production line, quietly reshaping how cars were built and how safety was valued by the industry at large. It had done what few vehicles ever achieve. It had earned trust not through marketing, but through math, metal, and measurable results. The Volvo 240 gallons from 1988 may have started as an engineering project, but it evolved into a philosophy that would ripple through the entire automotive landscape. By the mid-1980s, safety had begun to attract attention, but few manufacturers treated it as more than a selling point. Volvo treated it as an ethical obligation. The 240 gallons became the tangible proof of that mindset. Every piece of the car reflected the principle that no single feature should exist in isolation. Seatbelts, body structure, suspension geometry, and even headlight placement worked in concert to protect the driver and passengers. Volvo called this system approach total safety, and it was more than marketing. It was a framework for continuous improvement grounded in data, not in style trends. The 1988 Volvo 240 gallons embodied this ethos at its most refined. It represented the closing chapter of a model that had spent nearly 2 decades in production, evolving slowly but deliberately. Rather than chase the latest aesthetic fads, Volvo focused on refining what already worked. The result was a car that aged gracefully because it was built on logic rather than impulse. Every generation of the 240 series improved upon crashworthiness, corrosion resistance, and mechanical reliability. By the time the 1988 version arrived, it was essentially a masterpiece of refinement through repetition. Each component had been tested, studied, and optimized across millions of real-world miles. The longevity of the car itself became part of its safety story. A vehicle that stayed structurally sound for decades continued protecting people long after others had failed. The engineers behind the Volvo 240 gallons were not driven by prestige. They were driven by the numbers. They examined accident reports, injury records, and insurance data from across Sweden's road network. That data guided small but crucial changes: stronger door reinforcements, improved crumple zones, and even minor tweaks to seat cushioning. The company shared many of its findings openly, influencing global automotive standards. Rivals who once laughed at Volvo's boxy silhouette began to study its internal geometry. The principles proven in the 240 gallons would go on to shape government crash testing programs and safety rating systems worldwide. Even the 3-point seatbelt, patented by Volvo decades earlier, became standard equipment across nearly every vehicle because the company made it freely available. The 1988 240 gallons was part of that legacy of open-source safety. A machine that elevated not only its own brand but the entire industry. Inside the 240 gallons, the design continued to reflect this human-centered focus. The dashboard was engineered for clarity, with large analog gauges and minimal distraction. The seats used multi-density foam and orthopedic shaping to reduce strain on long trips. Ventilation and heating were designed for harsh northern climates, ensuring consistent comfort and alertness. Visibility was another obsession. The upright windshield and tall glasshouse offered a near-panoramic view of the road. For Volvo, comfort was not indulgence. It was prevention. A driver who felt at ease made fewer mistakes. This focus on ergonomics anticipated an era when human factors research would become central to automotive design. The Volvo 240 gallons from 1988 was, in many ways, a time capsule of that early philosophy. Its understated nature masked layers of thoughtful engineering invisible to the casual eye. Beneath its modest sheet metal, the suspension was tuned for stability under emergency maneuvers. The brakes were overspecified for its power output, providing consistent control under load. The steering ratio was chosen for predictability rather than sportiness. Everything was done with intent. The car may not have thrilled with its acceleration, but it excelled in composure, the kind of calm response that separates a close call from catastrophe. In an era when marketing often exaggerated performance numbers, the 240 gallons quietly built its reputation through real results. For families, that reliability translated to emotional security. Parents trusted the car to carry their children. Students inherited it as their first vehicle. The car's reputation grew through word of mouth, reinforced by its performance in crash data. The phrase, "Volvo safe," became part of popular language. By 1988, the 240 gallons was more than a product. It was a cultural shorthand for dependability. Owning one said something about your priorities. Practicality over prestige, substance over flash. As emission standards and fuel economy regulations tightened, the 240 gallons continued to adapt without compromising its identity. It introduced catalytic converters, refined fuel injection systems, and improved aerodynamics, but it never lost its defining strength. Even at the end of its production run, the car felt timeless in its purpose. It was proof that function could outlast fashion. When enthusiasts today restore or maintain a 1988 Volvo 240 gallons, they are preserving more than a vehicle. They are preserving a mindset. The car's squared silhouette and utilitarian charm serve as reminders of a time when engineers, not marketers, dictated the design process. The lessons learned from the 240 gallons would inform every Volvo that followed, from the introduction of side impact airbags to the structural innovations of modern SUVs. More importantly, they inspired an industry-wide recognition that genuine safety was not an optional feature but a fundamental responsibility. The 240 gallons stood as a benchmark for integrity in design, proving that progress could be humble yet profound. Its story is a testament to the idea that when engineers prioritize human life, the result is not just a safer car but a better society built on accountability and foresight. The Volvo 240 gallons from 1988 remains an enduring example of how rational design can achieve emotional impact, turning data into trust and steel into peace of mind. The 1988 Volvo 240 gallons marked the culmination of a philosophy that would outlive its production line. It was the end of an era when engineering decisions were made not in marketing meetings but in test labs filled with crash data and design prototypes. This car symbolized what happens when a company builds with patience, refining instead of reinventing. By the late 1980s, the automotive world was shifting towards sleeker designs, more electronics, and new forms of performance. Yet the Volvo 240 gallons persisted as a steadfast reminder that progress must be measured by reliability and safety, not by style cycles. In that sense, it became something greater than its specifications. It became an ideal. The 1988 model was the most mature expression of the 240 lineage. Its chassis tuning balanced comfort and stability with an almost scientific precision. Its inline-4 engine may have seemed modest, but it delivered consistent performance under stress, weathering decades of use without complaint. This dependability earned it cult status among drivers who valued predictability over prestige. The 240 gallons was not a machine that asked for admiration. It simply earned it through endurance. Underneath its quiet exterior lay an important transformation. The world had begun to adopt the very safety standards that Volvo pioneered. Crash test programs, seatbelt laws, and public awareness campaigns all traced some lineage to the research and advocacy born from cars like the 240 gallons. In that way, the car became part of something far larger than the company itself. It was not just a vehicle. It was an instrument of social change. The Swedish government used its data to improve road infrastructure. Insurance industries used it to adjust safety ratings. The ripple effect extended across continents, reshaping how consumers thought about safety as a right, not a luxury. Every time someone chose a vehicle with advanced restraint systems or side impact protection, they were indirectly benefiting from the groundwork laid by this quiet sedan. Culturally, The 1988 Volvo 240 gallons also helped redefine what aspiration looked like. In an age where success was often measured by flash and status, owning a 240 meant something different. It projected responsibility, intellect, and restraint. The car became a favorite of professors, doctors, and engineers, people who respected what it represented. This association built a legacy that extended into film, literature, and nostalgia culture. Decades later, the car's boxy outline and minimalism are celebrated not as outdated but as iconic. The 240 GL's shape became shorthand for authenticity, a kind of mechanical honesty that modern vehicles rarely capture. Even enthusiasts who never drove one understand its symbolism. The idea that good design serves people first. This is perhaps why restored examples of the 1988 Volvo 240 gallons continue to appear on roads and in collector garages worldwide. It was built so well that its lifespan naturally extended far beyond its intended years. The car's reputation for longevity is not folklore, it is measurable. Many examples have exceeded 500,000 miles, surviving harsh climates and daily commutes alike. This endurance is a direct result of engineering choices that prioritized strength over weight savings, redundancy over risk. The 240 GL's simplicity made it maintainable, its mechanical layout accessible even to amateur mechanics. In that sense, it empowered ownership. You didn't just drive it, you could understand it. That transparency built loyalty that few brands could replicate. The influence of the 1988 Volvo 240 gallons is also visible in the evolution of automotive safety philosophy. Modern vehicles, equipped with crumple zones, reinforced cabins, and advanced restraint systems, all trace their conceptual roots to designs perfected in cars like this one. Volvo's approach, to study real accidents, analyze injuries, and feed that data back into design, set the blueprint for how safety research is still conducted today. The 240 gallons was part of that turning point, bridging the gap between mechanical engineering and human-centered design. Its creators saw beyond the assembly line. They envisioned a world where no one should have to die or suffer severely in a car crash. That goal, once seen as idealistic, is now the standard ambition of every automotive safety department. Yet despite its profound impact, the 240 gallons never lost its humble demeanor. It was still the same square-edged sedan seen outside schools, grocery stores, and suburban homes. It fit seamlessly into daily life because it was designed for it. That relatability made it timeless. Even now, the car feels grounded in purpose rather than era. It doesn't chase nostalgia. It invites respect. Each surviving example stands as a rolling artifact of functional design, built not for fleeting trends but for enduring trust. For those who grew up in the back seat of a 240 gallons, it was more than transportation. It was a cocoon of calm predictability. For those who still drive one today, it's a testament to the idea that quality, when done right, never truly ages. The 1988 Volvo 240 gallons thus represents more than a conclusion. It represents continuity. It stands as proof that design rooted in empathy can achieve immortality. It reminds us that the simplest shapes sometimes hide the most complex stories, and that true greatness often arrives quietly, one safe journey at a time. The car's legacy endures not because it was fast or beautiful, but because it kept its promise: to protect, to last, and to lead by example. The story of the 1988 Volvo 240 gallons closes not with a roar of nostalgia, but with quiet affirmation. It remains one of those rare vehicles that transcended its market category to become a cultural mirror, reflecting what happens when engineering is guided by conscience rather than competition. In its time, the 240 gallons didn't need to prove itself through performance figures or bold marketing claims. Its worth was measured in lives preserved, in owners who trusted it implicitly, and in the ripple effect that changed global safety standards. It was the definition of understated excellence. The 1988 Volvo 240 gallons taught the world that progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's measured in the silence that follows a close call, the steady hum of an engine that just keeps running, or the confidence a driver feels in the middle of a storm. Its square design became a metaphor for strength and stability, standing against decades of changing trends. The car never sought to impress, only to endure. And in doing so, it became immortal. Few cars have carried such influence without asking for attention. The lessons of the 240 gallons live on in every modern vehicle that prioritizes occupant protection, in every regulatory standard that values data-driven design, and in every driver who now expects safety as a given. Its story reminds us that true innovation isn't about doing something new for its own sake. It's about perfecting what matters most. The Volvo 240 gallons from 1988 represents that principle better than any sports car or luxury sedan of its era. It stood for a kind of quiet heroism, a belief that design should serve humanity. As long as cars are built with people in mind, the spirit of the 240 gallons endures. That is the mark of a real legacy, not one defined by horsepower or prestige, but by trust, resilience, and the simple promise that the safest journey is the one you complete. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1988 Volvo 240 gallons, be sure to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which vehicle you'd like us to explore next.